Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Backcast, the podcast component to the Backlog, where we just talk about some of the stuff we've been playing and generally BS, and if it's anything like the last episode, we kind of go off topic and talk about, like, Japanese anime quite a bit.
We never do that.
What are you talking about? Okay, well, then this week will be precedent setting. Potentially. Anyway, I'm Dan. I'm joined by Joe.
Hey, Dan.
Hey. What's up? How's life?
How's life? How are things?
How are things?
I mean, I have not gamed a lot. At least no variety. I should say.
That's why why we've done the podcast less frequently.
Yeah,
it's because we're like, well, we just be talking about the same stuff again,
which is fine. And I actually do have like new stuff. Granted, it's not new per se.
Look, just tell us about WoW.
Just break it down. Yeah, been playing WoW.
For a number of reasons.
Mostly. I have someone to play WoW with.
Yeah.
My wife is now playing WoW. We got her a new laptop.
Someone more important to play WoW with.
More important to play WoW with.
Because they're the priority setter in your life.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been leveling in WoW, which has been enlightening as Blizzard has recently changed.
Right, you mentioned that. Because before, if you had leveled the character to max already, you could get like heirloom gear that buffed your XP gain, and it was trivial to the point you do 2 quests in an area, and you'd be 10 levels higher, and you'd jump ahead or run a dungeon, and
if you're running dungeons, it's even faster, and it was crazy. You could kind of level from, level 1 to max level in, maybe 10, 12 hours,
right,
if you're on point with it. But Blizzard kind of went through and changed the way all of leveling worked, all of questing,
everything scales to where you're at.
Yeah, so before it would have like each zone would have like a certain level range that would give you the appropriate XP,
right?
Or the most XP for your level. So you'd be stuck in one level or one zone up to level 10, and then we'd be like, oh, you're level 10 now, we're not going to give you as much XP, you need to move on.
Also, these zones are now available to you. The quest arrows will show up here.
Exactly. And that would unlock the new areas. And if you didn't immediately jump to that, you were kind of wasting your time.
Yeah.
Because you were not getting efficient XP, and it would just slow you down and was kind of pointless because it would kind of cap out and you would never finish a zone. You'd just keep moving. And you get like maybe one little small chain of quests done. Now everything is scaled. All enemies are scaled to your level, so while leveling, you can't really out-level anything. Everything scales, all the quest XP scales, the gear you're getting all scales.
Okay.
It's kind of cool if you're into leveling and wanted to see these whole quest lines, if you want to complete whole zones.
As someone who did my Lore Master achievement, I understand where that desire comes from. Lore Master being doing X amount of... it started out doing X amount of quests in each zone for your faction, and then by the end it was complete the quest of the through quest of this zone.
And I think they've actually tweaked with that achievement in particular as well.
It doesn't matter, I got it already.
They've assigned like sections,
key quests.
It'll let you know which quest lines you need to do in game to complete the zone, and so it's kind of cool from that aspect. But it has also slowed it down a lot because you're not just like one-shotting mobs. Like you're still you can actually like do your rotation a little bit. And if that's what I was going for right now, I'd be probably a bit more forgiving. But like this is her first character, and we kind of just want to get to max level and start doing end game stuff.
And I remember this from when, because you leveled me through when I started playing WoW as well. And then at a point there was a certain amount of like, I felt like I want to stop. I want to read these. I want to get the world. And then after about 2 hours, I was just like, no, screw this. Let's go. Let's just go.
Yeah.
There's too much here. Let's just go.
And I think that's a big part of it. I've also done all of this stuff so many times. I'm just kind of like, I'm beyond.
This is like your third recruit a friend or fourth or something like that?
Probably fourth now. I think I can't remember if I did it with both of my brothers at one point and you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've done a lot of leveling. It's been cool. I've kind of been able to get into some zones that I've never seen before. Well, I've never completed before. I've definitely seen more quests than I've ever like gone to. But the problem is, even though it all scales, it only scales from up to level 60 for vanilla content.
Right.
The old vanilla max level.
The old cap, yeah.
And even with the slower, with everything scaling and everything being slower, we only really completed the equivalent of maybe 2 zones.
Mm.
And we've only seen like 4.
Wow.
So I don't know what to think about it. It's much slower. I've only just hit like 63. I think.
Right, which is, and you guys were playing pretty intense there.
For about a week. We kind of hit it really hard and didn't even get to level 60,
which is crazy because
time since then.
I want to say over a week, not even a full weekend. It was like 2 days. When we did it, we got to max in like 2 days
within a couple days. It used to be super quick, so it's been a little bit of an adjustment to kind of recalibrate how I should feel about leveling and how fast that's happening. So it's a little bittersweet. It's kind of cool. I look forward to going through and doing that at some point, like kind of getting through all of that lore master questing, just because I've never done it.
Yeah,
and it's a kind of relaxing to just level characters through stuff. But where I have a goal right now, it's just kind of like frustrating to not be as fast as before. And I'm not using heirlooms because my wife doesn't have heirlooms.
Right, that's unfair.
Yeah, and the XP bonus would be pointless to me. Because I need to stick with her, and it just makes it like, ooh. And we are doing Recruiter Friend, so we have the Recruiter Friend XP bonus, so it's slightly faster.
So it would be even slower.
It would be even slower.
Did they rebalance that? Because before it was really fast.
I don't know. I didn't look at the exact percentage of XP that I'm getting from it, but it's better than your normal group bonus. So it's a decent chunk of XP.
It was like double before, I want to say is what it was.
Yeah, and it might still be. It may still be.
Wow.
But it's far slower. And we're not doing the most efficient run through. It's still really good to just hit each dungeon once instead of farming dungeons.
Right, and you're kind of at the behest of how your wife wants to see the content.
Sort of.
I mean, obviously
she doesn't really have a huge she's not like wanting to get all the lore out of it and read quests and stuff and we have like other family who play as well, and they want us to get to max level so we can just like tear it up.
Start getting ready for the end game.
And for the next expansion as well. Because who knows, we may get a group together and raid together or something. Who knows?
This is the dangerous thing. There's been our old WoW group chat has become active lately, talking about the new expansion, and there's this, and
a few of them have jumped back in game. And so we're talking to them a bit. And,
I fear there's some danger of myself getting pulled back in.
Pulled back in.
I mean, it'd be voluntary, but it makes me afraid because WoW is one of those games like that. There's like you play WoW now. This is
it is kind of a commitment for sure. WoW is definitely a commitment.
Well, the way that we
play WoW,
the way I play WoW, it
takes time. If you're trying to stay like geared up, leveled up, and on top of what WoW wants you to do, it's intense for sure.
Yeah.
It's got a lot going on. But yeah, the leveling process, hopefully that's going to speed up here. We're now into Burning Crusade dungeons is kind of what we actually got a family group together last night, and we're running Burning Crusade dungeons.
I should look up and see if I have anybody in that range.
It's an interesting thing that they have changed with that, because since they've scaled everything, they've kind of given you a choice. You can either go to Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King content.
Oh, right. Yeah, you were telling me about this.
And that's scaled a little differently than the 10 to 60 zones because it's they're smaller. You don't have as many places to go. So they're gated a little more heavily. You can't just jump right into like Shadow Moon Valley in BC. You do have to level up to like 65, 67 before they'll let you jump into that. But it does all scale. And you can stay in, like, if you wanted to just stay in Hellfire Peninsula all the way through, you probably could. I think there's enough quests there to get you pretty far in.
I'm just going to say you don't want to.
You don't want to.
Hellfire is so just...
But
you can fly, so
you could also just not go to Hellfire. You just go straight to Borean Tundra. And
see, at least Wrath had... The environments felt icy and different.
Also, they'd learned quite a bit of stuff from Burning Crusade, and so it probably is a better experience, and I should go there with my wife instead of hanging out in Hellfire Peninsula. But with the family group, they were a little more comfortable with BC content and tanking those dungeons and stuff, so we just stuck there. And it was fine. We ended up getting like a few levels out of it, and it was a lot of fun. But I think I'm probably going to shift over because I'm thinking like, the story's better in Wrath of the Lich King.
It is.
The quest density and flow is way better in Wrath of the Lich King.
Right.
So we'll probably end up there. But I don't know. Well, it feels really strange.
If nothing else, hit that harbor town because there's like 4 quests right there that you just knock out super fast.
Yeah. And it's all scaled, so it'll be worth it. And it's interesting. I'll have more feedback as we keep going, because you can also skip Cataclysm.
Right. It's you're saying it's either or. It's Cata or Mop.
Cata or Miss of Pandaria.
And of course, let's face it, Mop wins. And
Miss of Pandaria is fantastic.
So good. That's where I started.
Absolutely.
And boy,
also, as part of this, it looks like they have just unlocked all of the Cataclysm portals for you.
That's
as
fantastic.
Long as you hit the right level, you can use all Cataclysm portals. You don't have to do any of the starter stuff.
That was miserable.
Yeah, it is. Like, they have done a lot of quality of life stuff along with it, so it's a two-edged thing, I guess. You know, it's slower to level, but they give you a free boost with your pre-purchase of any expansion or purchase of any expansion, for that matter.
Right. So if you buy Warlords, you get a boost to 90. If you buy Legion, you get a boost to 100. And I assume with BFA, you're going to get a boost to 110.
Yep. So I'm sitting on a boost that I don't know where I'm going to use, because I have one of everything already.
I don't know if I ever used my 100 boost.
Yeah. Like, you just kind of don't at some point need it, especially if you're a regular WoW player.
I'm a regular WoW player, and even then, yeah.
Even you, yeah. You're pretty specific at your, like, desires for what you want to play.
I find the class that I want to play per expansion, and I stick to it. Yeah. I'm alt curious.
Sure.
But but only very like casually.
But yeah, that's been my problem I've had lately is I've just been leveling another priest because I have one of everything already.
Because you have a problem?
Yeah, and I'm getting like it's funny, I'm getting people in guild chat like another priest? Like, I was like, I have one of everything. Like, I had to double up somewhere. Like, why not play something I'm good at?
Right.
Like, what's the point?
So you're just going to get them to max level, delete them, and then go back and fire up your max level?
Well, there are other ones where I'm trying to at this point, consolidating the naming scheme a little bit with my tunes, just so like it's easier and not confusing as I change teams somewhat frequently, it feels.
Yeah, I kind of started doing that a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm actually like in preparation for just deleting other tunes that I have. Like, so I've with the allied races being out, I'm like, okay, cool. I like these allied races more. I'll roll a warrior. I'll roll and I already have these classes, but I'm actually going to delete my already 100 or 110 tunes and replace them with these allied races that I'm leveling up.
Question about the allied races. So you can get Void Elves and Lightforged Draenei on the Alliance side.
Correct.
Right now. So do they have the same restrictions as normal elves and Draenei?
No. They have their own racials. Both.
No, I mean class-wise.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. It's not like suddenly you can be a Draenei druid or something.
Right. That's. I was just double checking because I know because they have the human druid that looks amazing because it's a pirate human druid. But the problem also is that so far we only know that they could be a druid,
and I think that's the rub with the Coltirans is that's going to be the only thing they do,
which is so sad because I would be if they had a class I was curious about.
It becomes too redundant with humans, with regular humans,
and the problem is that they just know everybody's going to just roll.
Like, why would I not just switch to these better models like immediately? So I at some point they may broaden that out.
Here's what you do. You have the normal humans that have the normal human classes, and the Coltirans are everything else.
The other ones that the normal humans can't be. Yep. Humans can be mostly everything, though.
They can't be shaman.
Okay.
They can't be druids.
Shaman would make sense.
See, what else can't they be?
Especially with them being sort of tangentially tied to the Zandalari trolls, which will be shaman.
Is that it? Is it just trolls, or is it just shaman and druids that humans can't be?
I guess so. Yeah,
because they could be warlocks, mages,
priests,
paladins,
hunters.
Warriors, hunters.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah,
monks. Yeah.
Yep.
That's okay, but you know what?
Interesting. Yeah, very, very not limited with humans. Humans can be whatever.
Yeah. I want.
You want that Coltiran? It looks
I want the Coltiran, and I want a shaman that look. The Draenei shaman are fine. The dwarf shamans are fine. I want either a Worgen shaman or a pirate shaman.
I mean, don't we all? We all want that.
They gave gnomes hunters, for heaven's sake.
A gnome shaman. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be.
I'd be down with that.
Yeah.
We still have yet to see what other allied races they're going to come out with. We only know a very little bit about the Coltirans. Like, we just know that they're going to be these special druids. And we've seen their druid forms. We don't know what their racials are going to be. We don't know much in that regard.
Right.
Or if they will, have more classes added to.
And you said they were going to give you a free option to race change?
I don't know. I heard that early on. I don't know if that is still part of the whole thing.
Because I'm curious, because I have my Draenei shaman, and I'm wondering if the Lightforged buffs are better for.
The Lightforged buffs are kind of interesting. Again, they're racial; they're not super game changing,
right?
Mostly they have a big, like a DPS bomb of Holy Light that the Lightforged Draenei can do.
Yeah,
they also explode in Holy Light when they die and do a bunch of damage.
That sounds better.
Is kind of cool.
Well, Shaman die a lot.
Which is
so if when you onk, you could bomb
that would
twice.
Be amazing. I wonder. I have not actually done much with my
here's the thing is, you have Gift of the Naru right now on regular one, which is that heal.
Which is pretty
heal dot.
Forgettable. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all right, and I have it on my bars, or I had it on my bars, so I could pop it of like, oh, I'm in trouble. But having a DPS boost, much better for a DPS class.
And it just seems like a one DPS, like just a quick DPS nuke. Like, it's cool. It seems all right. It's not going to be overly powerful, I'm sure. It's not going to unbalance anything. The Void Elves, on the other hand, do seem like that could become a problem. Because they're Void Elves, their casts are unhindered by taking damage. They're not slowed down at all.
Ooh.
And every so often, you kind of just enter this like Void mode.
Okay.
Not unlike a Shadow Priest, but it's only for 6 seconds, and all damage and healing is increased by 5% during that window.
You're going to see a lot of those in PvP.
It seems really overpowered, especially for PvP. 5% is not a huge damage boost, but basically no interrupt to your spellcasting
is
by damage is a big deal.
Was it the pushback kind of effect that you would get?
Kind of like just stutters your cast bar
right
while you're casting. That is not a thing with Void Elves. It's really nice as a healer. I've been leveling as Holy Priest, and to just be getting smacked on by a mob and all my heals still just going through as fast as I expect them to is really nice.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it's a quality of life change I didn't think would be like a big deal, but it really is. Also, Void Elves, way cheaper transmog costs. They get a huge discount for transmog.
Why is that?
I don't know, but
because they're talking to the Void guys.
Yes,
Void guys that do it.
because they're Void. That makes sense. So they're
hey
sort
bro,
of akin to the Ethereals. Yeah,
are you saying they have Void privilege?
Very much so. I embrace that privilege.
Okay, no, that's okay.
Hence, I actually deleted I was going to level a Lightforged Draenei Warrior, changed it to a Void Elf Warrior.
See, I say I might actually roll an elf now.
Yeah, I
hate elves.
Really like it, and basically they're a cooler Blood Elf. Is all it is. Like they use the same animations as Blood Elves. They make their voice stuff is all different, but just like their jumping animations and battle animations.
I have no idea what those look like.
They look like Blood Elves. So,
well, I'm saying Blood Elves being
it's essentially just the Alliance version of Blood Elves. So
okay, so expect more Slutmog in town.
Exactly. But yeah, a lot of fun. Looking forward to Battle for Azeroth. At least everything I've seen looks cool, kind of intriguing. Just to see how things shake out. They're in beta now, so.
Right, like just hit beta.
Just hit beta like last week.
Which was funny because we were reading some guy's Reddit post about his impression.
The way classes feel.
And one of them, he's like, what is it, 3? Like, I rate this one 3 out of 10. I don't really play this class, whatever, don't care. And it's like,
can't be bothered.
Yeah, it's like, that doesn't seem...
It's so early on. It's like...
Right, also that.
Yeah, it's whatever. Everything's super subjective and can be changed at any time.
Right.
Like, they're already rolling back some fundamental stuff with, like, the global cooldown changes and things. So
right, because they were doing something like you can't... Everything's on the global.
Was on the global cooldown.
Which before you could sneak some things. Certain things were off cooldown.
Well, if you talented into say a big cooldown,
well
you
also,
could just macro that together. Now that you can no longer macro that stuff. You have to cast each thing individually.
And I had that on my Death Knight. I had some things macroed underlying. Like every time I was using Frost Strike, I had because the way the runes and runic power used to work, there was a talent you could take that could basically you would build up charges. And if you had those charges, you could hit a button to spend the charges that did a damage buff or gave you power back. I think it gave you a rune back. You needed 5 charges. Well, you macro that in every time you use your most common thing. That if you don't have enough charges, whatever. If you do, hey, you got runes back, kind of constantly.
Okay, yeah, and that makes sense. And that's what they're kind of like getting away from.
Yeah, like, no, if you're taking this, we expect you to be more active in using it.
And they wanted it to be more of a choice. Like, instead of just a no-brainer, I take this talent, I have to use this
and then I use it, which is why I actually stayed away from that particular build setup. When I was learning DK, I actually was like, no, I'd rather just play it true, and then I got to a point where I'm like, I want to do more damage.
Yeah, it's like, okay, and I understand why they do this now.
And then I did it, and I was like, okay, I can actually, like, it's barely perceptible, but it is perceptible, the difference of what that does for me.
And it's kind of the battle they've been trying to like philosophically fight in WoW for a long time, is making things interesting, making like the things you're casting matter. And it's kind of, it was weird that they chose to do that by just like putting everything on the GCD, right. And they're starting to roll that back with.
They decided that was maybe too extreme.
And it's kind of a work in progress, obviously. That's why it's all still beta. But yeah, they're pulling off some of the movement tied abilities like Heroic Leap for warriors, that kind of thing, where it being on a global where you're leaping to a thing and you need to be able to do like immediate damage. It hinders the way the class feels, and it makes everything a bit.
Yeah, jumping in and being like, okay, I guess janky, I'm here now.
Yeah, a little janky. So they're rolling some of that back, and it's good to know they are listening to feedback, taking these things into consideration, and are willing to walk things back that need to be walked back.
I mean, well, let's face it. I get the feeling that sometimes they walk things back. I'm throwing up air quotes. I don't know, but it's just to say like, okay, it's been 2 years since we've touched any part of this system. Let's just change it, just so it's different for people. And then we'll change it back next expansion.
Isn't that how MOBA works? The MOBA games, like they buff one class just to make it meta. Because there's like thousands of characters in MOBAs.
I'm going to defer to you on that one. I'm not sure.
I don't play a lot of MOBAs, but I've always understood that to be the case.
Let us know in the comments if that's how MOBAs work.
Well, I think I don't know that it can't, because as the quote unquote meta shifts for what characters
there are meta shifts, but at the same time,
how else would you change it other than
complete revamps? I understand Dota's done that a few times. Where I heard, it's not recent at this point, and it could have been a year ago at this point. I know they revamped Dota into something completely different,
right? And I understand that needs to happen occasionally, but if you didn't. If that was the only way you kind of revamped your MOBA, you'd just be like complete system changing all the time in a MOBA. So rather than do that, all you have to do is make X character flavor of the month.
Yeah.
By buffing it. And it's the same way with WoW as well. Each class kind of becomes flavor of the month every so often.
Yeah, and, unless they can't figure out like no, we don't want it to do this. We're gonna
in some cases they do just like raise things to the ground. There's like, nope.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Sorry, demo locks.
Yeah, sorry, Demonology Warlocks. You don't need to be this powerful.
Right, and
we don't want you to even play this class.
I do love when they do that and they come out and say, yeah, we burned this one to the ground. Don't play it.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, we'll get to it in another patch. It needs a complete rework.
Yeah, like
and it's cool. It forces people to mix things up and do things in a more interesting way, and it keeps Blizzard, modifying things in different ways. And I'm fine with it. It would suck if arcane mages were always just the top DPS. That would be boring,
right?
And because you'd only have people rolling arcane mage.
But you wish people would figure out fire, or they think they could figure out fire in a way that.
Again, that's the thing. Sometimes that's flavor of the month. It has been in the past.
Right. It has been, but it's one of those things that can't quite.
It's hard to balance something that is based on.
Well, balance is hard. Yeah. Period. But then also turning around and then changing things and maintaining balance is.
And that's I don't think.
It's the plate spinning of.
Yeah, it is. It's true. And their quote unquote balances. Everything's within 2 to 3% at the top end. Everything's pretty viable in that regard. You may be like sacrifice a few thousand DPS on occasion.
Here's the thing: is I do think I understand why they don't, but PvP is such a small aspect of WoW. But they can't get rid of it. But if they were, their balancing job would be so much easier.
It's such a separate system now that doesn't really play into much.
Did they finally?
Oh, all of Legion, it's been a separate system.
Okay. Yeah. I paid so little attention to PvP.
PvP's been very separate.
I remember the prestige
system.
Its own
talents. PvP's like a non-entity when it comes to PvE changing nowadays. That used to be a consideration when those abilities were shared.
I still need to figure out what I need to go in and do in order to get the Shaman Red transmog for the tier set. Is it tier 3 or is it tier 6?
The old PvP one?
Yeah, your iconic shaman tier set.
It may just be gold now.
I think it was tokens last time I checked.
It might be. That's kind of what a lot of the current stuff is.
Because it's
counts as it's a PvP token.
Is tier 6 it would be Burning Crusade, right?
T6, maybe.
It's the goblin in. Is it Gadgetzan that's out there on the? It's not Gadgetzan.
I thought those ones were in Sunwell area.
No. this was
the red Mogs from like the.
This one's sold by, I want to say it was Area 53, 52 or whatever it is. Yeah, I want to say there's a goblin out there that sells it.
Probably. There's one of them that.
It's at Burning Crusade. I know
that would be like 5 because isn't Black Temple's T6 tier 6 gear.
Okay,
if I remember right.
And the PvP was a season.
The PvP one that you would look for was the numbers are not exact.
Right, because I know when we were doing MOP, it was like tier 16, and then
now that's like
season 13.
Yeah, and now they've changed it to like season number.
Yeah, seasons.
Season 1 of expansion.
Right.
Not it's not just like season 25.
Right.
So, WoW is like ever changing, and it's hard to keep up with if you don't play regularly.
We were talking about how we were having a bit of a 40k lore chat here before, and how dense and impenetrable that is from the outside, from like a lore perspective. I mean, you can buy the models and play and never engage with that, and it's fine. But WoW as a game, like if you want to know besides where it's at right now, it's the same kind of thing. You're almost talking lore and history when you get into the old mechanics and old systems, and
it's dense and it changes a lot. Well, keeping track of all of it is crazy.
I always found it fascinating when I'd be like trying to get in an old achievement or a transmog or an old piece of gear or something or an old quest, going through to like Wowhead or something and seeing like the strata of comments.
Yes,
how it's like, oh well, on this okay, it's broken as of this patch, and then and people like trying to figure it out as it's live, and then slowly being oh this expansion, this part broke on it, you need to do this, these workarounds that then have like layers of workarounds. Oh hey, this new expansion, it now works here, but it's broken here. You just relog and do this, and it starts working again.
Yeah, World of Warcraft is a beast that is just so strange and is ever evolving.
Yeah,
as they keep just like needing to revamp these systems. So it's interesting to see what does break and what else you need to do.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing,
which is also why
it's super interesting. It keeps me entertained.
That's also, I mean, before they made this leveling change, it was kind of when we were playing. I think I made the comment years and years ago when we were actually leveling for the first time, how I was fascinated with the idea, like you could see the exact, like when you transferred from one expansion to the next, it was immediately apparent. Even when you're leveling now, because they're like, oh, hey, remember this system? It's gone. Here's this thing. And you just see these things that they just said, okay, we're done with this expansion. We're just going to leave it here as it was. And it just kind of breaks. New expansion, new set of rules, new all these things. Like it's going to be interesting to see how that works if you're leveling through Legion. Or through Legion going forward, because it'll be like, hey, here's your cool artifact weapon. You're going to empower it over the, oh, what? No, you're at the next level. Nope, ditch it and keep going.
I've been curious as to how they're going to roll that in.
Well, it's just going to be like all the other things. Is you're just going to hit the point where you're just done with it, and you're just
but are they even going to give you the artifact going forward?
Ooh, I mean, it's so tied in. It's so
integral to that expansion for sure. But if you can't really do much with it,
it's good.
Are they just going to give it to you at like a base?
But level, people are going to be upset because they're like, wait, everybody else got Doomhammer. Why can't I have Doomhammer?
I hear you. I wonder.
It's going to be in there in some. It's got to,
because you can still go back and do all the Garrison stuff from Draenor.
But also the quest systems won't make sense because they're talking about there's so much artifact related stuff in there.
But it's like the legendary ring from Draenor. When you go back through Draenor, like you don't get the legendary ring anymore.
Yeah.
You can't. Like it just doesn't happen.
Oh,
you get like some of the precursor,
like the purples
ones, that are good, but like you don't get the ring anymore, or the cloaks from Pandaria.
Right.
Like,
I remember when they said when they were announcing, all right, this is the cutoff. If you have the quest, you can still do it, but after this date,
can't even do the quest anymore.
Like
so
it's just locked off.
Do they just cut that off? I need to look into this because I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure we know how that's going to happen.
But I'm saying, that's what I'm talking about. How it's so interesting because you feel these weird breakpoints
with the whole artifact thing and getting to your class hall and all that.
Right,
it's tied to a quest and a quest chain that happens as soon as you get into the.
And
expansion.
it's part of the leveling. It's where your XP comes from.
There's part of it there for sure.
Yeah,
and a lot of that's time gated as well. So you'd have to be pretty on top of it to like keep going with that.
I imagine they'll modify some of the time gate stuff, but
they haven't yet. You would think that they would still, because they're still like doing your class hall now on a new 110. Still takes just as long as it did at launch.
That's disappointing.
You end up having to wait a week at times, and you're just like, okay, well, I guess I'm just not going to do any of this stuff for a week.
or ever,
potentially, because you can skip all of it.
See, and that's what I'm talking about.
You can jump right to the current patch and get way better gear and way better everything.
Right, so that's what I find fascinating. Let's say 2 expansions from now, you're leveling a character, you hit Legion, you're like, it'll be like, oh, check back in a week, and you're like, no, and you keep leveling,
you just level past it,
and then in a week when you're in the new expansion, you get a notification, hey, your research is done in 2 expansions ago. It's done now.
Legion's not completely devoid of weapons. It's very close, but there are still weapons that drop in certain areas that are
for transmog.
Transmog essentially, but they do have stats. You can equip them. They're obviously lower at this point if you have been working on an artifact, but they're still decent eye level weapons that exist in the game, mostly for transmog, but they're there. Okay. So theoretically, you could ignore the artifact completely. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I don't intend to level an alt through unless. That's not true. I will level.
You will absolutely
level a Kultiran druid as soon as I can. Because it's just it's a druid I don't have
and
yet.
That'll be interesting because they said that's going to be after the launch of the expansion.
Yes. So it may be far enough into the expansion that I'm ready to mess around with it.
Or maybe you use your boost on that.
True, I could boost that,
and then you skip all that.
But I'm curious enough about how Legion leveling will work that I would kind of want to just check it out. And it is that 110 boost that you get for buying Battle for Azeroth would just skip Legion completely. So it depends. It depends on how much I like the Kultiran, I guess. I'll know when I see how the casts and animations and stuff look.
Right.
And I'll revisit that when the time comes, which is probably it's only a few months away, August. So
yeah. It is August. Okay.
Yeah. So it's coming up. It's coming up faster.
I've got some time to stew on that one.
Yeah, definitely. And it sounds like we've got a bunch of people going to be playing in Battle for Azeroth. So
yeah, I'm not one for peer pressure, but that one might actually get me.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much of the quote unquote band
gets back together.
Yeah, because I've already raided with a few guys that are from our old team.
Right, you've mentioned that before when we've been chatting, and there's a certain amount of okay.
Yeah, but we're with a new group and new leadership, so it's a little bit of a different dynamic for sure.
Oh, always is,
and it'll be interesting to see who sticks around,
right?
Because everyone likes to jump in right at the beginning of an expansion,
and there's always the unexpected people who fall. You don't expect certain people to fall off, and they will, and they do.
Real life comes in,
and someone you don't expect to come back comes back, and it's always kind of a fascinating thing because so many just old ass adults just play WoW. It's not like
it's true.
It's a very specific kind of person that plays WoW nowadays.
Yeah, and seems like more often than not, I am with people who are older than I am, which is considerably.
Yeah.
So,
which if you told me that, 15 years ago, I would be like, no, that's no.
Seems weird.
Yeah, that's not a thing that happens. It's barely acceptable at my age. Why would people older than me be playing a video game that sucks so much time?
And they're always the most relaxed people, though. It's nice,
right?
They're veterans. The veterans are always fun, though.
Well, I still remember in that first guild we joined, where we had somebody who's like, "Hey guys, I just invited my son to the guild,"
that's
and we're like, "Okay." And this was quite a few years ago now, but
many.
But it was it was weird because he was in his teens or 20s or something like that. He was.
I don't even remember.
Old enough that you're you're doing the math going, wait, what? And the mom was the more hardcore WoW player than the son. He's just starting WoW. It's okay, weird.
It is weird. It's weird.
Yeah,
it'll be I don't know, brave new expansion.
Right? Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
Exactly. Well, I actually got an itch for something, let's say, expansive, not unlike WoW.
Okay.
So I jumped back into Elite Dangerous.
The expansive space.
Yes, the openness of space, and
not the semi-popular sci-fi series.
Turns out I logged out halfway through a trip to a very, very distant star. In fact, that's kind of why I stopped playing. Is because I realized it was going to take me hours to get to the place I wanted to go.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
And I was so far in my journey that when I decided, I'm like, okay, I just need to... It's too far to keep going.
So you would have to like
turn around and I'd find the closest space station. Yeah, it was like 2.5 hours of game time to get to that station.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I just need what? Now, here's the thing: is I was also scanning planets and systems and stuff.
Okay.
So when I got back to that station, I actually got credit for exploring or discovering, I think, 6 planets. I said I'm the first player to ever scan those planets ever.
And I mean, that's a cool thing, but gee.
Yeah. And I got a couple million credits out of it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do that. And I was like, okay, I love this game, but I also can't stand how slow this game is.
And I mean, would that be... Are you... I mean, how end game are you as far as your ship is concerned?
Oh, there's no game at all, essentially. It's here, they give you a ship to start.
So are you in like the best quote unquote ship you can be in?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh, okay. So
absolutely
not really end game.
And when I was playing before, it seemed like there was a good way you could make a decent amount of credits and actually get there not fairly quickly, but acceptably quickly. It feels like they have another one of the reasons why I put it down is it felt like they nerfed how much you got out of certain quests and things, and so it feels like it is ridiculously slow to get the money. So I'm doing quests that the quests that are in my that are good for my rank, let's say, are paying out between 15 and maybe 100,000 credits, right?
Okay.
The next ship up that I would have my eye on is like 76 million credits to buy. And keeping in mind, when you buy a ship, you don't want to fly that ship.
Yeah, you have to kit it out afterwards.
Right, and if you're buying the best in slot for everything in a ship, you're basically the ship cost is about a third of what you want to spend on the ship. So
that's a considerable investment.
Yeah, you're looking at 200 million credits.
If it does jump your speed up or just the quality of life,
depends on the ship you buy.
And you can build how you want, right?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
You can build for the way you want to play the game.
Sort of, though.
Or you can buy multiple ships and kit each of them out differently.
Right, and you kind of have to do that because a cargo ship is never going to be kind of a clunker in a lot of aspects. It's never going to have a good gun loadout, so you can't be like, well, I just want to put 50 guns on a cargo ship.
Right.
It's not that free. But it does have a lot of you're basically free within the type of ship it is. So you can say,
yeah, that's kind of what I meant.
Yeah, so an explorer ship is still going to be so if you strip down a ship for just making long distance jumps, the explorer class ships are still going to be better than everything else at doing that.
Right.
So
and there's no and you have a garage essentially, right?
Yeah, well,
of different types of ships.
Yes, but here's the thing: is if you go to a different space station, you can't just jump into that other ship. You have to either fly back to where it is,
back to where you parked it last,
or you can pay somebody to fly it. It costs a ridiculous amount of money and like I had a buddy who was
in game time, right?
In game time, he was something a couple hundred light years away, and it's like, okay, it'll be here in 2 hours.
That's crazy. That's cool,
and that's not even that far, but it's cool. Yeah. It's a neat idea. It just isn't fun.
It's just not super fun.
Sorry, I'm sure there's the hardcore people that are like, no, it's like a sim, dude.
It's sim. Yeah, that's when you're
get good scrub.
Yeah, sort of. It's just like recognize the experience.
Right, and
recognize that it's a sim, not Need for Speed space.
And I have this conflicting relationship with this game. It's like I want to love it, and it does so many things really good. But all the things it doesn't do good are so frustrating for me.
Every time it pops up on my wish list, I'm like, "Ooh, man, do I want to jump in?
Ooh.
Do I want to jump in?"
Like if you do,
it's all super tempting.
Well, here's the thing: is if you do, there's a bunch of things that we can do. There's actually
is there a recruit a friend.
There's not recruit a friend, but we can join a wing together. So you can play solo or open.
Okay,
but you can also create a private group. And it's open world, but only for the people you invite.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can join co-op wings. In fact, they've added missions that are, hey, you want a squad of dudes, so the barrier. So maybe it'll be like, hey, we don't like these pirates. Go kill 15 of these guys. So you have to scan the ship. Okay, they're affiliated with them. I'm going to kill them. Kill 15 of them. Return. Turn that in. And that's one annoying thing we'll kind of come back around to is that you have to go back to the station that issued that.
That's sim.
Yeah, but you can't just call them and say, hey, it's done.
Right.
Which is
Which I mean,
again, like I said,
that seems fine to me.
We'll come back around to that.
I understand. There's the difference between arcade and sim.
Yeah, absolutely. But they'll also be like, hey, here's a wing challenge, a challenge that you can do by yourself, but is designed for squads essentially.
Okay,
that is kill 50. So it's a bit of a daunting task, but if you have 4 guys in a system just bouncing around hunting. Yeah, that quest is done.
Makes it a lot faster.
Makes it a lot faster. Or there's something that's like, haul 1,000 tons of this to this location. So they have, and the payouts are better. But they also have so say we're in 2 separate systems and there's just no way we're going to be in the same spot. If you have a large enough ship, someone can telepresence in as a gunner or like a multi-crew seat. So if you've kitted out like a cargo hauler that also has a fighter bay. Your telepresence buddy can drop into the fighter and launch out in a fighter and like defend your cargo ship, or it could be a gunner. And that's
kind of cool.
They've built in that stuff that is really cool.
I think I would because I've always toyed around with the idea of like getting into No Man's Sky just for kind of something that I could almost turn my brain off. Not necessarily turn my brain off, but kind of a Zen experience.
Yeah,
and I feel like this would be that. It would fit that bill more so than No Man's Sky would.
Absolutely.
Because there's still like the travel time and kind of like just seeing the vastness of space and just kind of doing somewhat menial tasks.
You'll jump into a system and the station that you need to deliver goods to is on the ass end of the system, and it'll take you 15 minutes at sub-light speed to fly there.
Right. Because
it's so far out. Which means also you'll get there and you're like, I'm not picking up any missions that
have to come back here.
Have to come back here. This is, but like I said, also I was just hot jumping. The one when I was making that journey, I was jumping system to system, and it took me 2.5 hours to get to the closest station.
That's I mean, and aspects of that I find fascinating.
It is fascinating.
That's super cool.
It is until you want to do something that isn't just sit and listen to a podcast and jump from place to place. You want to get in and do something. Now, granted, it's always my choice to do that.
Right. But in that case, I probably wouldn't pick up Elite Dangerous.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't. that would not be like, it's like, okay, I want to like do something. I'd jump into WoW. I'd jump into Monster Hunter or something. There's
so many things that are way more engaging.
Yeah. It kind of would be like a judgment call on my part, obviously, of like, how much do I want to engage with this right now?
Right.
Do I just want to listen? Am I more interested in my like Hulu series that I'm watching right now?
Right.
And do I just want to be able to kind of no-brainer set a flight point and just, let that go.
And kind of be like...
And just kind of
watch it.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like it would scratch some itches that I'm not like scratching at this point.
Right.
Because I'm playing more interactive and I got to be focused kind of things. I don't have a thing I can play right now where I can just turn off.
Right.
So,
see, and
I've kind of been looking for it, and I think this might be like a pretty good candidate.
Well, here's what I ended up doing is while I was doing this, because I have time to just sit and think.
Okay.
I was just thinking about like what my relationship with this game and what I was really looking for, and I realized all I really wanted to do was go back and play Rebel Galaxy again. Which the capture for this podcast is going to be Rebel Galaxy.
Enjoy Rebel Galaxy B-roll.
Oh, because man, that is the arcade version of that game. Of Elite Dangerous. Same thing. You do what you want. There is a through plot, but a lot of it is, engage with it as you want. So, like, there's multiple systems, and it's kind of sort of randomly generated. The systems, when you start the game, it generates, and that's your system for that game. But you can actually not really engage with that first plot point and just play the game and get to the point where you're traveling all these systems before the plot kind of nudges you in that direction.
Huh.
And you start off in like what I say is kind of a Millennium Falcon-esque size kind of freighter.
Small little freighter ship.
And by the end of it, you can get to a ship that is essentially just like, not Star Destroyer is not exactly the best, but like a destroyer-class ship that's just you. And so it's a lot of, people would compare it, I guess, to the Assassin's Creed boat combat. Broadsides and all that, and
pirate style
combat.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun because you have automated turrets that are doing their things. You can control those. Broadsides are always you, and you start off with a ship that has fairly modest broadsides, but by the end you just have I think you start off with 3 broadside ports, and I want to say my favorite ship at the end has something like 15, and then I think 10 or 12 turret stations. So it gets to the point where you're just rolling over everything in this you've become death.
Now, I know you've been playing Rebel Galaxy for a while. You've had it for quite a while.
I've played it through a couple times.
Yeah, you played through quite a bit. Are they still supporting? Like, are they releasing new ships or anything?
No. It's
a complete thing so far. They're not adding anything to it.
So I guess it's part of the guys that were a part of the original Diablo team that went someplace else and then broke off. And I think it's basically two guys that made this game.
That's cool.
So
I remember hearing something about that.
Surprisingly complete game for that. So no, there's nothing that came from that.
No continual support.
No
DLC.
But the game feels
no extra ships or anything.
Right. But it feels polished and complete for what it is.
That's cool.
But there's nothing that quite scratches the itch the way this game does. So that's why I keep coming back to it. Even though I'm like, okay, I look at it and I'm like, I go to the shipyard and I go, I'm probably going to do the same upgrade path I always do. You go.
I mean, there's something to be said for it. I mean, that's why I play Demon Hunter all the time in Diablo 3.
Right.
Like, I know that upgrade path. I know like what I'm looking for. It's a familiar.
Right.
It's a familiar.
But
space.
I also enjoy what it's giving me.
Yeah.
I'm taking the missions are random generated. I'm rolling up. I'm transporting cargo, but I'm doing it in basically like the most battle stationed out cargo hauler I can. So when pirates show up to ambush me, they're just getting annihilated by my various laser cannons and so forth. It is the arcade version of Elite Dangerous, but it also puts you into the bigger ships faster.
I mean, arcade, yeah.
Oh, yeah, arcade.
Absolutely.
I think it's you can get through. It's about a 30-hour game, where I think I've spent way over 30 hours just traveling in Elite Dangerous. So, it's
Sim versus arcade.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely something to be like said for the two types. Not necessarily like Rebel Galaxy and Elite Dangerous are super comparable, but they are definitely like space. I mean, they're space games.
They're space games.
Space games,
and they have the kind of do what you want open world.
Ship, but
and you can trade
very different play styles.
You could be a trader. You could be a miner. You could be a combat pilot. You can join the merchant guild, the pirates, or basically a mercenaries guild. And like the missions you can get are different. There's some plot with sci-fi stuff and AI and.
Sure, yeah.
You're basically you get gifted the base ship by your aunt who's like, hey, come save me. I'm trapped out here.
And now Elite Dangerous doesn't have plot per se.
Not at all. There is a story there's like this weird alien invasion going on, but I have been never able to get to where that's happening or engage with it on any level.
Huh.
Nor do I care to.
And that's cool. I mean, it's like I don't know. It's like the micro version of like a 4X. Sort of?
No. I mean, there's no 4X. It's just,
I know. It's
there's also a whole power...
a bit hyperbole there.
Well, funny enough, there's a whole power play. They've created factions and leaders of factions that you can serve and help try and, expand their influence. Haven't engaged with that at all. So, this doesn't interest me. I want to
Sure, but it is there.
It is there.
Why I find, some of it... it's interesting that that's happening in the game. Kind of like when we were playing Helldivers back in the day. There was a
global campaign.
A global campaign happening.
Yeah.
And we were playing the game. We weren't really trying for any of that stuff.
Right. It was just kind of going on.
Yeah, it was just happening while everyone was playing the game. And I always liked that. I always thought that was kind of cool. Seeing a greater, a global progress happening, even though we weren't necessarily quote unquote engaging with it,
right? Though we were contributing by playing.
Yeah, just by playing, we happen to be contributing, and it's cool that exists to some extent in Elite Dangerous. And I'm glad it's happening. It makes that game more interesting as a whole, even if it's not something I would be directly shooting for.
Even if it's buried on so many layers of abstraction, and the way you engage with it is so
as long as it's existent and is affected by players in some way, then that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of fine with it.
And it's cool as you can play it offline mode, and you're still affecting the global everything.
That's cool.
So they have community goals that go on, and as you're contributing, your contribution counts, but you don't have to engage with other players because engaging online with any players is something that I've got to the point where I'm like, whatever, it can go either way.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I'm glad it's there. And I wish that there was more support for Rebel Galaxy in that way. I wish that it was still ongoing.
Oh, it would be cool if it had those aspects. I also understand why it doesn't. It's like a $20 game.
Which is cool, yeah.
And so
it's for the price, it's amazing.
Oh, it's a fantastic deal for what it is. And if you just want to just roam around space doing it's okay. It does have a bit of the Serenity vibe, the Firefly vibe.
Okay.
I should mention the music when you get into combat. There's a lot of slide guitars and not quite like not country rock, but just kind of the rock with that feels a bit. It feels with like it's got a bit of a twang to it. That it's like
sure,
you could be riding a Harley as much as you could be just flying a spaceship kind of feel. It is very frontier space. You're out. Everybody's got kind of that Western. Like all the people you talk to tend to talk very kind of Western or frontier style, and it also has that vibe, and the sound design is real good, and it's just satisfying to play, I should say.
Yeah, and it's another one that I might pick up if it's on sale at some point.
Well, you know me, I've suggested it for a couple of years at this point, but
I've heard about it. I'll get around to it.
Well, you will, because I've played through it 2 or 3 times at this point. So when we actually play through,
as soon as it's on a good sale, I'll snap that up.
Absolutely.
Elite Dangerous as well.
Maybe
I want to play both of them.
We'll see. Well, I think they're on the Elite. They could, if they figured out a couple things, tweaked a couple things, it would be amazing, and I would not play WoW. I would be always playing Elite.
But
yeah. Anyway,
good deal.
Do we really want to get in? We've been watching some anime. You've been watching some anime.
Sure. I mean, I've been watching a lot of stuff. I've been watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, which has actually been more of my time.
Yeah.
But
well,
and that's been great. But.
So actually,
go Knights.
This will be like I said. I teased the precedent, but I guess the precedent is that we're not going to even engage with that. So we'll be doing the podcast kind of as we
sporadically as things are
as we feel like we've got something new to say,
and we're excited about
stuff. So thank you everybody for joining us for the Backcast, and we'll catch you again real soon when we got something more to say about something.
Yeah, and keep watching our other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Please keep
Vanquish
watching.
and DMC are a lot of fun.
Oh,
we've
so
been,
much fun.
Enjoying working on those.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you again next time.
Catch you guys later.